Please. Fantastic. Good morning once again, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Cyber Thursday with your favorite insurer, i2. My name is Luando Twane. For those of you that don't know me, I am the lead cyber underwriter for the commercial portfolio. Today, we want to discuss something that we hope will definitely benefit you firstly understanding why we have this cover, but also trying to get your clients to buy this cover. We realize that there's always a problem. Maybe you are not too confident in the products, you're not too confident in what it entails. We've got daunting proposal forms, but we have a team with us from Chronologic who have a great solution, partnering with us to try and assist you to make that sale a little bit easier. So just to some house rules. If you do have a question, please drop it in the Q&A or in the chat box. I will be monitoring throughout the session. We will take the questions live or at the end of the session, depending on how the time allows. Also, I want you guys to think about what have been your pain points during when you want to sell cyber products. So please drop us those notes. Is it the understanding of the product? Is the understanding of what it covers? Is it just the clients are not willing to buy? Whatever that is, please let us know. We'll use that as we go through the session as part of the discussion that we're having today. So without further ado, I'd like to hand over to Andrew Yates, Director at Chronologic, to introduce his team and the reason for bringing you all here together this morning. Over to you, Andrew.
Thank you, Luanda. And I want to thank everyone for giving us an opportunity to meet you guys today. I'm Andrew Yates. I'm one of the founding directors of Chronologic. And my background is technical, but I spend my days interacting with customers, understanding their requirements, and helping them architect solutions. There's a broad range of things that we do, but security is a core focus of what we're doing. And then I'm going to ask JP to introduce himself and Johan. These are the guys that help us bring these solutions to reality. JP?
Thank you, Andrew, and good morning to everybody. Thanks for having us. So I'm JP Bosman. I'm heading up the business development at Chronologic. I've got a passion for technology and people. You know, my passion relates to helping people in many different ways in the technology sector, how we can make things easier and assist in that way. So I'm excited for today, and I'm looking forward to this webinar and having more in-depth discussion with everybody here. So thank you for having me.
Johan.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Johan Meyer. I'm a senior solutions architect at Chronologic Managed Services Division. So I'm in charge of basically managing all of our clients' infrastructure. Would that be hosted physical on-site? I'm also in charge of security and helping our customers through their security journey to get secured. So we assist customers with SOC 2 compliance, POPI compliance, HIPAA compliance. We go through their security. We manage their mail security, DLP, data leak prevention, firewall security. So essentially, I just implement whatever Andrew and JP sells to the customers. I make it work.
Thank you, Johan. Okay, so next slide. The purpose of today's session is to explain how we believe we can make the buying process for your customers easier, which will obviously make your selling process to your customers easier. Cyber insurance is quite a technical product, and it often results in slightly longer sales cycles. So we see this from the other side, from the customer side. Many of our customers need our help. We have to hold their hand through the process of getting compliant, adjusting the security posture, and getting their applications in for their cyber insurance cover. So we see it from the other side, and we see many of these challenges. The customers often get a bit overwhelmed or confused by the jargon that's in the documentation and so on, and they really need someone to hold their hand. So that's where we believe we can help. Now, we want to touch a little bit on, why do customers need cyber insurance? So essentially, they need insurance, cyber insurance, to protect themselves from financial losses, liabilities resulting from cyber attacks, data breaches, and other digital threats that can compromise their corporate data and their personal data. And then lastly, the reputational damage. They want to insure against reputational damage. And I know Johan can elaborate on this massively, but I'll just quickly give you a kind of a 10,000-foot view. There's been two main things that we've seen evolve massively over the last couple of years: the prevalence of ransomware and the vulnerability of business email to compromise. People doing phishing attacks and getting people's passwords, and then committing fraud through very sophisticated social engineering. Those are the two main threats. And then the other emerging threats are the risks of AI and the potential for bad actors to poison source data and have unintended consequences. The evolution and growth of cloud computing, more and more customers putting their data in area of attack, potentially. We're dealing with some geopolitical uncertainty in the world for the last 2 years. We've got, the potential for hybrid wars, which would be, let's say, cyber attacks and physical wars. And then there's also the prevalence of the connection of more and more equipment to the internet with the Internet of Things. Johan, do you want to maybe just add to anything that I've said there in terms of the threats that you're seeing and the kind of things that we're seeing are biggest risks for customers?
Yeah, so the biggest two risks is social engineering and phishing attacks. We've seen that's been being a big uptake in the last couple of months and weeks since the start of 2023. And it's very important to have something to protect yourself against mail spoofing specifically, as well as impersonation attacks.
Okay, brilliant.
If I may jump in there, Andrew,
yes.
Just to sort of give the brokers a view from the insurance side. Ransomware was a topic that was hardly ever mentioned about 5 to 8 years ago. It was, heard about, but not really prevalent. Wrapping up to 2018, started hearing a lot more around it. COVID happened in 2020, and that really opened the gateway to a lot more ransomware attacks. And we saw it in our claims stats. Our claims notifications from ransomware alone shot through the roof. We were 300-400% increased over the next 2 years, 2020 and 2021. And then it slightly died down a little bit. A lot of that, in our view, was due to the Ukraine war, where a lot of some of the threat actors are focusing their attentions, so like we said, the geopolitical uncertainty. But what we have seen over the last 2 years, which is also on the screen, is the business email compromise side of things. The social engineering, the attacks to, sort of hack the human being. And I think that's really where a lot of claims come from. It's not the security as such, but usually it's the weakest link, which is the human firewall. And just want you, get you guys understanding that these are things that are happening. You may not think happens to you, but a well-orchestrated campaign that targets you, your likes, your passions, your interests, will get you to click on those malicious links. You will divulge sensitive information and potentially leave yourself and your business at risk. So this is something that we've seen in our own claim stats, and we're paying more and more claims and seeing more notifications because of these two main risks on the screen.
Thanks, Lwando. In our experience, we can't think of a single customer that doesn't need this type of insurance. And often we do happen to have quite a few customers in the financial services sector. It's a qualifier for them. They've got compliance requirements, and it's a qualifier for them to be able to even do what they do as a business. Their partners won't deal with them if they don't have cyber insurance, and if they aren't meeting the high standards of a security posture. They simply won't be able to do business. So what I suppose I'm saying is there's a massive market that needs these products. They often don't exactly understand why, but they do need them. And that's a massive opportunity. Okay, so next we talk about some of the challenges. Why is it that these products aren't walking out the door. Well, not everyone's got a detailed understanding of, from a technical perspective, of what we've just discussed now, what the risks are and why they need it, and what the mitigation strategies should be or need to be. And that's understandable because it's a domain area of expertise, specifically one we live in all the time. And our customers need our help to complete these forms as part of what we do all the time. So it's the forms and documentation, and the language is filled with jargon that the customers and yourselves probably don't always understand. And the other thing is, cyber threats are evolving as the security companies come up with technologies and strategies to mitigate a risk. Another one gets exploited. So it's an evolving thing. It's not you plug the hole and it's done. It's an evolving, continually evolving challenge. So it requires a level of technical expertise and guidance for yourselves and the customer to help them demystify what the questions in the application forms actually mean, and make sure that the customer is not at risk of saying yes to something when it comes to the claim. Their claim is put at risk because they actually weren't 100% compliant, but they didn't really understand the question totally. So that's really where we see the challenges. Lwanda, do you have any additional things that you're seeing that would be, let's say, protracting sales cycles? You know, the dependency on the customer to go away and do some homework and come back. What are you seeing?
It's everything that's on the screen right now, Andrew. I think we've had a lot of engagement with certain brokers, and the common thread has always been that, one, they're not comfortable themselves. Two, the proposal forms, unfortunately, can be long and can be quite technical. And three, you know, some of the smaller businesses, smaller to medium businesses, don't actually have specialized IT teams and divisions or security specialists who can really assist in terms of understanding what the requirements are firstly, and then also implementing any shortfalls where there may be. And that's exactly why we're here again, to sort of highlight those key areas. Ask you, the brokers, maybe let's take a couple of minutes and ask the audience, you know, put it in the chat. What has been your pain point? What have you seen and struggled with when trying to sell a cyber policy? Have you even attempted to sell a cyber policy? Let us know. And we're all here to help you. And I think this is really why we wanted to sort of emphasize this portion of the sales process before we even talk about the quotes and the pricing and those kind of things. So let us know. You know, we'll take a couple of minutes and just view the chat. If nothing comes up, we'll move on with the discussion. But I'm sure there's at least one question that's lingering in your brain. This is your chance. You know, you've got the experts on the forum. Let's use it.
What we
Errol
see
says
is
the client does not believe into them. They are so careful. Can someone bust that myth? What does careful mean? From a technical security, maybe Johan, you might have some insights in terms of how security doesn't always help you when you need it.
Yeah, so that is the common misconception, is that they are careful, but I mean, there are vulnerabilities on computer processes, for example, that you're not aware of. That's why you do vulnerability scanning in your environment to see if there's any vulnerabilities and do patching. And an attack can happen to anybody. I mean, Sanlam's been attacked, Old Mutual's been attacked, and these are institutes that had the same attitude of they are careful, and they do have lots of stuff in place as well. Like we said, cyber social engineering is one of the big key points as well. User training is crucial in these environments, and one user can make a mistake that could cause your entire business to fail, essentially. That's what it comes down to. So in the IT world, there's never such a thing as enough protection. There's always something new happening. With the advancements of AI as well, we're going to be seeing a lot of new types of ransomware that's smarter, that attacks faster, and that can come through different channels that some people aren't even aware of exist yet. So that's the main thing. It's good to be careful, but not all security is totally secure.
You know, you can have the best team, the best security, but if the user that's using those systems is not up to speed, up to date, and then also the speed of which the technology is changing. The use of AI now, something that has come into the fold. How can you really be ahead of the curve? So yes, be careful. Yes, have the teams, have what you do, but it doesn't mean that you'll be 100%. And I think that's what we've seen from our own claim stats from some of the bigger corporations that are falling victim to some fairly simple attacks at times. Yeah, let's see what else is there, Alan. Criminals want your data. They will try to take it no matter what security anyone has. It's like your home, where if you have more security than your neighbor and your insurance, you're likely to be attacked. Well, less likely to be attacked, yes. So the more security does help you, puts the walls higher up, but the less likely is the key there, right? It's just less, not that it's 100% not likely. So
maybe if I can jump in there. The one that
Go ahead, JP.
Agree with you. You know, something you know, that everybody's been talking about, AI, ChatGPT. It's really making things easier to do, and this is the same as for cyber criminals. You know, there is ways where they can purchase from let's call it the dark web, where the same way we use ChatGPT or Bing Copilot or whatever it might be, anybody can now literally use those tools to also create ransomware. So it's not a matter of, you know, years ago where it took somebody that's got really good expertise to execute on these attacks. But anybody can go if they know where to go and do this. So this is also a big driver and concerning that, you know, what measures can be put in place to reduce the risk. And, you know, like it was said, you know, we've got our home, we've got the walls, electric fence, got our alarm system, you know, there's deterrence in place. And I think it's the same way as we're going with cyber security as such.
Don't you think that the value to the customer is not really the protection, it's knowing that you're financially not going to suffer the damages if you've got cover insurance. So
great.
There is a level of maturity that you need to put in place for your security posture to qualify for the insurance, which minimizes the risk, but it's not zero. The risk isn't zero, but you want to know that even though you've built this big fence around your house, should you have a break-in and somebody steals your TV, that you're going to be able to put a claim in and get it replaced. And it's the peace of mind of knowing you've got that, and your business isn't going to suffer closure because you've lost all your data and you can't afford to keep your staff because you don't know who owes you money. And you've got a financial compensation for a catastrophic event. That's the value to the customer, isn't it? The peace of mind.
100%. It's that safety net. It's like any insurance that you buy, whether you're purchasing your car insurance. You don't have car insurance because you're going to leave the dealer room, showroom, and crash your car into the next wall that you see. It's because something like that may happen. It may never happen in your lifetime, but it may happen. And when that does happen, you want to sort of transfer that financial burden to an expert provider that can then help you in those tough times. And that's exactly where we fit in as the insurer with this specialized cyber product. So when things do go wrong, even the risk is the lowest risk, things can and do go wrong, we were then there to help you with that next step.
So I forget who the guy's name was that posed the question, but I agree with him. Whatever you do, you still, if somebody wants to break in and steal something or do something, you're never guaranteed to be 100% secure from that attack. And that's the point of insurance. I agree 100%. Okay. If there are any other comments or questions, we can come back to them, right?
There is a question in the Q&A, but I will take that one later on in the session.
Okay, cool. Okay, so we wanted to tell you a little bit about us and what we do. So I did allude to this a little bit earlier. So we've been looking after customers, being entrusted to look after customers' IT services and infrastructure for 30 years. And these are typically customers that are too small to have a big internal IT department. We tend to focus on financial services, but we've got a broad spread of customers, but they're really too small to have a CIO and somebody to look after the compliance requirements, and we take over that responsibility for them, look after their on-premise and their cloud infrastructure and their licensing and all of that, and their compliance, disaster recovery and business continuity. And then we have, within Chronologic, we've got technology solutions that we apply. You can't be an expert in everything, so we try to focus on specific areas. So cloud services and modern workplace and hybrid working, etc. There's a list of things that we do for our customers. But I suppose the point is it's a subset of the security posture assessment and security mitigation strategies and remediation things is a small subset of a broader range of things that we do for customers who just expect that to be a part of the suite of services that we provide and look after. And it's in these managed services agreements that we are seeing we see this pattern of every 12 months there's a review, there's renewing of insurance policies and so on, and all sorts of compliance things. And there's always small things that need to be adjusted and changed to meet new compliance requirements and to make sure that the customer's insured, basically. So they look to us for that. Okay, moving on. So how can we help? Well, it's kind of four things. What we're doing is doing a rapid security posture assessments. So these are things where the customer's small enough for us to be able to do something without physically having to go and see the customer. So there are certain dependencies for that. So we need a person that knows enough about what's in place to be able to explain to us what they have and where the gaps are. So conducting that rapid security posture assessment, it's a maturity assessment where we're looking specifically for things that are being asked for in the insurance application documents. Then we're providing the customer with a gap analysis. We're saying, these are the 10 things that you're fine on. These are the 2 things that you're not fine on. And this is why. And then explaining to the customer exactly why their current strategy isn't good enough to meet the requirements to say yes to that checkbox in the form. And then we put a remediation plan and a budget in place for them. It might be that we're just advising and they've already got somebody and that can just go and do some changes. Or it might be that they come back and say, okay, can you guys do this for us? Can you, we know we need a paid for endpoint protection solution. And the AVG free antivirus thing isn't good enough for us. We know that. Can you help and give us a proposal to do that for us? And the final step would be, once those remediation steps have been taken, we can answer yes to the gaps in the questionnaire, and then we can help the customer complete the application form and shorten that process to sales. And this is a kind of a workflow process of how that would look like. So you're the broker, you meet the customer, he says, yes, we think we do need cyber insurance cover, but I don't really understand exactly what we need or how to fill in the form. The next step would be for us to be electronically introduced to the customer, maybe via email or a phone call or something. We would then set up a call to understand a bit about the customer and their order of magnitude, how many sites, how many people, how many systems, to decide whether they would be, it would be appropriate for us to conduct a rapid security posture assessment, or whether they would need something more rigorous. So some of the bigger customers, this is not something we could do on the phone. We'd actually need to go into their server room and their data center and do a detailed audit. So this really isn't for those type of customers. This is more for the smaller customers that we can actually get the information that we need from the customer with a Teams call or a Zoom meeting, whatever. Then we'd do that security posture assessment, the rapid one, and then we'd build a gap analysis for the customer and present it back along with remedies and a budgets. We'd say, these are the 20 things we looked at. These are the things that you don't totally pass on, and then explain what they mean and what needs to be put in place, and then look at the most economical way of being able to put a mitigation strategy in place for them, and then execute on that, and then finally put the customer in a position where they're confident they can complete the application process and become a cyber insurance customer. So that's the process. Any questions on the process? We can take questions at the end if you like.
I think, Andrew, just a quick one from me.
Yeah.
This process is really designed to help you as a broker to, add value to your clients, firstly. Also for the client to get themselves to a point where they can be confident to say that they are an insurable risk. Where there are gaps, obviously those can then be discussed further in terms of what's needed from a specific sort of security and IT manner. Then, client can go away and implement those measures. And then also, again, come back to that point I said, where you are not an insurable risk. And being an insurable risk means that, one, the quoting process becomes a lot simpler and easier for you. And two, depending on the level of your maturity, we can then go the next step and start adding value to you by giving you further discounts based on the security posture that you are presenting. So these are some of the nice things to have that we're trying to assist, whether we do understand there's a lot of sort of pushback on certain things, and it can be quite difficult to make the sale. But we have partners and teams that can come in and assist, and really, as we keep saying, hold your hand through the process. So please, engage with us on this. Just do so. Send us your questions that you have, and yeah, we'll do our best to assist you where we can.
So the other thing to add there is elapsed time kills deals. So this process is designed to be quite agile. I mean, this could potentially happen within a few days. We could be introduced to the customer and have them signing a document within a few days. Potentially, rather than they go away and you don't hear from them for a month because they're struggling to understand the forms. Okay, cool. The next slide just details the length and breadth of our standard security posture assessment, and then highlights the areas that are really core to the rapid one. So the rapid security process posture assessment includes the endpoint protection, software patching, outdated software identification, and password policies and MFA. So those are that's really at the core of what the concerns would be for cyber insurance cover. But this slide is ready to show you that there's a whole much broader picture for security posture assessments that we look at that don't specifically relate to insurance. It's just to show it's a subset. If the customer doesn't have a qualified person that we can engage for the assessments, then we'd need to do the assessment probably on site with the customer. So the rapid security posture assessment assumes that there is somebody who has the information that we'd be needing to ask for. Okay, so the end of that process looks like this. So we would then cross-reference the 4 core things to do with that are concerns for the risks associated with cyber insurance and the compliance requirements for the application. So they are those 4 things I highlighted in that other list in the previous slide. So the endpoint protection, ensuring you've got the right level of endpoint protection, that you do software patching and you don't have any software that's been deprecated and no longer supported for patches, etc. And that your password controls are at the right level. So this is to do with password policies, length, complexity, how often they need to be changed, and whether you're using any multi-factor authentication and where you absolutely have to. For example, on Office 365, those kind of applications, you really must have that. The customer must use those technologies. and then making sure that they have daily backups and a disaster recovery plan. So once we know we've got all of those things in place, then the customer is in a position to confidently answer yes to everything on the application forms. And, you know, that should put them in a position that they know that they're not going to have a claim repudiated if something does happen, because they've done the work. And that is really the last slide. To the very last slide is to do with our contact details. So if any of you guys want to, I think we will distribute information after this, and we do have a Chronologic Solutions Managed Services brochure that tells a little bit more detail about us that we will make available as well. But if any of you need help with any of your customers to get cyber insurance, then these are the contact people that you can reach out to.
Andrew, can we just go back to the previous slide, please?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So as Andrew's mentioned, you know, these are some of the key sort of security areas that we look at from an insurance underwriting perspective. It is in the proposal form. It is on our minimum requirements standards. We do sort of lay it out quite plainly and clearly. And it's not meant to, you know, deter the clients or to use it as a way to not pay a claim, but it's meant to sort of make you aware that, listen, this is something that you should be using in your business. These are the security measures that are at a very minimum required just to make you to that insurable level, to the insurable level. And from there, you know, you then get this full support as to what is a cyber insurance policy will provide. You know, so from your endpoints, your malware, your firewalls, those kind of things, patching. I mean, I had a question or a comment from a broker the other day saying that, from a client that responding to a query that we had around their patch management. They said they don't believe in patches, and I looked and I thought to myself, how can you not believe in patches? Vulnerabilities are coming out every single second. And any one of those could be the Achilles heel to your business. So patching and updating your software is vital. So we do have, you know, a process to look at these things, and that is why, you know, if you don't have an expert on your side, the Chronologic team are a team that can then fill that gap for you and assist you and your clients to just, you know, ensure themselves are in a better position from a security standpoint, and also a better position from an insurance and insurability standpoint as well. So thanks for that, Andrew. I think that was quite fairly comprehensive and, you know, quite informative. We don't want to put too much into the session in terms of the technicalities, but really want to leave it open to the audience. You know, what are your comments? What are your queries? There are 2 questions in the Q&A that we'll touch on just now. But if there are any other comments or queries that you have, please use this time and we'll try and assist you. So maybe let's go to the Q&A. There's an anonymous attendee who says their biggest challenge is the turnaround times from the insurers, as they usually get clients who need cyber urgently and never want to understand the process of underwriting. I have a question to that question, unfortunately, is that, you know, did that client wake up that day and realize they need cyber insurance, or was it a thought process they had for a while, and just maybe because of a contract deadline or something like that, and making that the process a lot more urgent than it needs to be? The process of underwriting can be quite, you know, it can be quite long depending on the clients. We do have a simplified version of our underwriting when it comes to our SME clients, where we offer you pre-underwritten rates with a 1-pager, and that can be used if your client qualifies for that as an SME client. We also have offering, we're also offering our sort of SME offering on a digital platform, again allowing you to go on there, you know, answer the simplified questions, get your quote and bind immediately, which will then help you to not have those time delays if the client falls into SME. But if it's a larger, more complex client, the time to turn around may take a little bit depending on when the quote came in, and we'd hope that, you know, you'll be able to relay that to your clients that, you know, we need at least you know, 48 to 72 hours just to sort of get our heads around, and we have a lot of volume when it comes to quotes. But we do try our best to help, and when things are urgent, please pick up the call. pick up the phone and call us. We'll do our best to say, you know, if I have a gap in the next whatever, we'll look at that quote for you so that we don't give you that challenge of not getting terms to your clients as soon as possible.
Lwanda, can I make a point?
Go ahead.
It might be a nice differentiator. I'm just thinking of the other insurance products that the brokers may be selling, and how much easier it would be for competitors to give other offerings. But if we follow this approach, it's quite a handheld approach for the customer. It's unlikely that the other cyber insurance companies or brokers are going to have this level of, let's say, hand-holding for their customers, which should make it easier to compete, to get your product into the customer.
Yeah, I mean, look, we're always looking for things to differentiate ourselves from our competitors. One of the services is what we're talking about today. We also have other monitoring tools that we use as part of our portfolio management. You know, we have a few things that we keep looking at now again. We're finding partners to also assist with things such as your awareness training. We understand, you know, budgets aren't always there to do awareness training, and the human firewall, as we mentioned, is usually the area we need to upskill. So where we find good partners that we can provide, we do provide that. We were running a campaign last year on that with one of our providers, and we continually do that to just add more value to our brokers. So you know, if there is a need, let us know. If we can find a solution for it, we definitely will. We're in the game of solutions, and I think that's really what we're here to provide. There was a question that's my colleague actually asked, and he wants us to maybe take this one live. I'm not sure who will want to answer this one, but what is OpenSSH and what are the risks associated with it? Any steps to remediate?
Yeah,
I'd like to take that question.
Yeah, so I'll probably have to take that one. So OpenSSH is short for Secure Shell. So Secure Shell is a protocol that's used in IT generally, which is essentially just access to a specific instance. So if you have a Linux-based server, SSH is the way that you would access that server to do management tasks. Similarly, like you would log onto a Windows computer using a username and password. SSH is basically the same thing, but it's just Linux-based. SSH is also used as a protocol for file transfers across the internet. So it's a file transfer protocol plus and a login protocol essentially for Linux-based systems. So it generally operates on port 22. And that port is generally exposed to the internet when it's open on an SSH service, which is a massive risk to your network. So I think, what was the question? There was two parts to that question, if I remember correctly.
Yes, so what is it?
SSH, and then
what are the risks associated with it, and any steps to remediate? Yeah.
So the risk generally is that same as with the Windows system, the attackers can do a brute force attack on that system to try and brute force any passwords configured on that system. Generally, what we would yes.
Can you just explain what a brute force attack is and how it works?
So a brute force attack is done by hackers where they would try and guess the passwords of a user. For example, what they would generally do is lots of systems have default usernames such as administrator or admin, or user or guest. So what they would then do is they would use specific software that targets external public IP of a server or would target a machine, and that would run an attack against a specific default username. So what it does is there's a library built up of possible passwords and password combinations. So that brute force would run all of those possible combinations against that specific user until it actually gets access to that system. It has now also been, the power has also been increased of these brute force attacks with the power of AI, being able to generate thousands of pieces of lines of code and guess passwords. So a brute force would generally just be an attack on a default user. That's why we would always recommend never use default usernames on servers and systems like administrator or admin, and always disable guest users on your systems. So that's a brute force attack. Back to the OpenSSH. OpenSSH is the best way to protect against OpenSSH attacks like brute force password attacks and using passwords is to use an SSL key, which is I'm not going to go too deep into it, but we would secure we would secure the user with an SSH key, which has a public and a private key. The private key would be residing on the user's machine that the connection is made from, and the public key would exist on the server. Now, that key combination is used for authentication to allow access to that box, which is it's a lot harder to attack without having the private key for the hackers. I hope that answers the question in layman's terms. It's a very involved, it's a very big, broader spectrum of stuff that goes behind it as well.
No, thanks, Johan. I hope that did answer the question, Musa. But yeah, there's a couple of questions in the Q&A. One from Dave. Dave asks, is it possible at all to have a cyber expert holding us go through and see if we have all our ducks in a row in terms of compliance? I think what Dave is basically asking, you know, can we sort of go and do what we've spoken about today? Do the sort of the test, do the assessment, show them where the gaps are. And I think that's exactly what we are here to present to you, Dave. So the short answer to the question would be yes. With Chronologic, we can put you guys in touch, and Chronologic can help you to sort of do that posture assessment for your business.
Yes, definitely.
Cindy asks, should a client's company be based in South Africa and they have partnered with a company overseas and the systems are now linked, how will the cyber policy work? For example, if the overseas company is hacked and our client's system in South Africa is affected, will the cyber policy cover this? Right, so Cindy, that's a very interesting scenario. You know, when companies expand and go to different territories, there may be this sort of a risk that you've highlighted here. From an IT perspective, our policies are restricted to sub-Saharan Africa territories. So if the partner country is not in that region, we would not be able to assist in covering that region firstly. And then from covering the South African entity only, we would then have an exclusion for any sort of losses or damages or threats coming from the linked entity. And usually quite difficult to also ascertain this. There would be an investigation required to see what happened, when it happened, and what has been affected, which will then incur costs. And what we wouldn't want to do is that once we've done that investigation, to say, oh, sorry, it's from your sister company is based in the UK, which we don't cover. Therefore, we can no longer proceed with the insurance offering. And here's a bill for all the costs that have been incurred so far. So we'd rather not get into that situation from an IT perspective. Unfortunately, it's one of the areas where we do have stricter jurisdictional requirements. But if your sister company is based in Botswana, Namibia, Kenya, happy to do it. We can do a group policy. We'll cover both entities, and we're able to then provide coverage for the entire business. I trust that answers your question, Cindy. One more question in the Q&A. So the process of getting the services from Chronologic, I think that's something that we'll need to clarify, Andrew, in terms of, you know, do they come to us? Do they go to you directly? I think in terms of the first initial assessment, we're happy for the clients to go to you directly. You can do the initial assessment, and then part of the submission to us will include that, listen, you were in touch with Chronologic. This is what they provided as a form of sort of assessment and verification of what you have in place. That should help you to get the cyber insurance. But I'm not sure we've better done that process fully yet, Andrew. So maybe we'll put something together and send out post this session to all of our brokers.
So yeah, I'll move back to the key contacts slide. You're welcome to reach out to us directly, and then Luanda will just liaise with you as they come through as well.
100%. Perfect.
Cool. Is that it?
See if there's any other questions.
I believe this is trying to get a hold of my number. My number is currently offline because it's linked to my Teams. So if it doesn't go through, it might just be a network issue. But we can have that looked at. But do drop me a mail if you can't get through via calls. We will be able to call you back and respond on that. If there's no other queries or comments or questions from the audience, we've reached the end of today's session. I really hope that you've taken some value out of this. You sort of feel a little bit more at ease that you have a partner to help you with selling the policy to your clients. And where you're not sure, and always reach out. We're here to help you. I do client calls all the time where the clients want to understand what's the product all about. I can break that down quite nicely and succinctly. So we're happy to do those processes for you. It does help you to then add credibility to your clients and hopefully then make that sale a little bit easier as well. And then from the proposal form and the security posture side, that's where the ChronoLogic team comes in just to add that extra value as well. So thanks again for joining us today. Hopefully everyone have a great day from here. If you're in Cape Town, hopefully you guys are keeping well and the floods have not damaged too much around where you are. Andrew, JP, Johan, thanks for your time and your insights. Very, very much appreciated today. Any last words from your team?
Wanda, thank you very much for setting this up, and thank you to everyone for attending and making the time. I have one question. After this, is there a distribution list that if we give you contact details for everyone to contact and a copy of the brochure and so on, do you have a means to distribute that?
Yes. So we can do a follow-up email to all those that attended on the call today. Okay, so we'll do that. So if you didn't get the details on the previous slide, you'll be able to. We'll share that. Yeah, perfect. Brilliant.
And there was just one question we missed in the web chat, but maybe we can answer that in the follow-up as well. Just about compensation for the hand-holding process from Alan and I think Gerald.
Okay.
Yeah, Samantha, I think we can add that as part of the respect. Yeah, perfect.
And I think from my side, thank you for having us. And I think the key here is to build a relationship, get the introduction through the broker to the client. You've got the relationship. If it's a new relationship, let's build it together. And we're here to help. And reach out and thank you for the time. We appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone. And I think that'll be it for today. Just to let those in the call know, we are heading into Cyber Awareness Month in October. We will be doing a series of cyber webinars for our Tuesday sessions starting on Tuesday, the 3rd of October. So please do look out for those invites and join us for those 10 a.m. sessions on Tuesdays, where we will unpack a little bit more around the cyber landscape, the risks, some interesting topics that we want to discuss with you as well throughout the month of October, just to help with your awareness and hopefully help you also share that with your clients and get them on board with what we're trying to do here. So yes, look out for those, and we look forward to seeing you on our next installment on Tuesday. Thank you very much, and have a great day.
Everyone.
Thank you.
Cheers,
guys.
Bye.